The lonely outcast. The crowded market was alive with noise and movement, alien voices rising in 100 different tones, merchants shouting prices, machines humming, ships flying low in the distance. Yet in the middle of all this chaos, one figure stood apart, a small alien woman with pale skin and bright, trembling eyes. She carried a basket in her thin hands, but no one wanted to stand near her. Everywhere she went, male aliens turned their backs. Some even hissed insults, others laughed openly. One muttered loud enough for her to hear, "She is worth less than the meat I sell." Another said, "Why is she even here? No male will take her, no clan will keep her." The words cut her deeper than knives, but she had heard them all before. She lowered her gaze, trying not to cry. Her heart heavy, she wanted to disappear into the ground, yet she needed food. Her stomach ached with hunger. The small alien girl had been unwanted since she was born, and each day in the market was another cruel reminder that she did not belong. Still she stood, waiting at a stall. The merchant pretended not to see her. Customers pushed in front of her. She held her basket tighter, the shame pressing on her chest. Her people believed she carried a curse, something unseen, something that made her untouchable, and so the males avoided her as if she carried death itself. But then, through the crowd, another figure walked, tall and strange, skin different, eyes different. His clothes marked him not as one of them, but as something else entirely, a human. He moved with quiet steps, studying everything with a sharp and curious gaze. The alien woman noticed him, but quickly turned away. She knew better than to hope. No one ever looked at her with kindness, and yet when the human's eyes landed on her, he did not look away. He paused, his brow furrowed slightly as if he could feel the weight of her loneliness. But hope was dangerous, she reminded herself. Every male before had turned away. Every kind act was only a shadow before the rejection. She waited for him to laugh, to mock, to leave. But he only held out the food, patient, unwavering. The alien males nearby hissed, "He will learn soon enough. Humans are fools." But the human did not even glance at them. His attention stayed only on her, and for the first time in her life, the alien woman felt truly seen. She reached out, her thin fingers brushing the edge of the food he held, fear still burning in her chest, but also something stronger now, something that made her heart beat faster. The market was watching, everyone waiting for the human to change his mind, to push her away like all the others, but he did not move. He simply stood, a silent shield in the chaos, and in that moment the alien woman realized this human was different, a human's gaze. The night had fallen over the alien city. Lights from hovering crafts painted the streets in colors of blue and red. The markets were closing, but the whispers of what happened earlier in the day had not faded. An outcast alien woman had been seen standing beside a human, and that story spread like fire. The alien woman sat in the corner of a small abandoned shelter, clutching the food he had given her. She had not eaten yet, not because she wasn't hungry, but because she feared it might vanish if she let herself believe it was real. Every act of kindness in her past had turned to cruelty in the end, and so she waited, staring at the food with trembling hands. Footsteps echoed in the alley outside. She froze, her body tense. Her first thought was that other alien males had come to take revenge. They hated when she even tried to exist among them, but instead the tall human appeared in the doorway, his shadow stretching across the floor. Her heart pounded, fear and confusion mixy. "Why are you here?" she whispered, her voice shaking. He stepped inside calmly, his eyes steady. "Because you looked alone," he replied. She turned away quickly, hugging her knees to her chest. "You should not stay near me. The others will hurt you," she muttered. "They already mock me. They will mock you too." Her voice was bitter, filled with pain she could no longer hide. The human leaned against the wall, not bothered by the dust or the smell. "Let them mock," he said simply, his tone quiet but unyielding. It was not arrogance, it was certainty, and that certainty unsettled her more than any insult. She looked up at him then, her eyes wide. "Do you not understand?" she said sharply. "Every male of my kind has cast me aside. They say I am cursed. They say I am less than dirt. If you stand beside me, you will be cursed too." Her words were heavy, filled with years of rejection and hopelessness. But the human did not flinch. Instead, he crouched down to meet her eyes, his voice calm. Cursed or not, I do not see dirt. I see someone who is still alive when no one wanted her alive, and that means strength. The words struck her harder than any blow. Her lips parted, but no sound came. No one had ever spoken to her that way. No one had called her strong. All she had ever heard was weak, broken, unclean. Tears filled her eyes before she could stop them. She turned her face away, ashamed. Do not say such things. You do not know me, she whispered. The human tilted his head slightly, watching her. Then let me know you, he said. The simplicity of the words made her heart twist. She shook her head furiously. No, you must not. If you know me, you will leave. They all leave, she cried, her voice cracking. Memories of countless alien males flashing in her mind, the looks of disgust, the hands pushing her away, the cold voices saying she was unworthy. The human sat down on the cold floor beside her, silent for a moment, then spoke softly. If I wanted to leave, I would have walked away in the market. I did not, and I will not. The alien woman stared at him, breath caught in her throat. She searched his face for signs of mockery, for the trick that always came, but there was none, only quiet honesty. It was terrifying, because if he truly meant it, then her entire world might change. Outside the shelter, shadows moved, alien males passing by, their voices harsh. The human is with her. He will learn the truth soon. Another voice sneered. He is already doomed. She is poison. Their footsteps faded, but their words lingered like venom. She hugged herself tighter, trembling. You hear them? They are right. I am poison, she whispered, her chest heavy with shame. The human reached into the small bag he carried and pulled out a cloth. He tore it into 2 pieces, handing one to her. Poison does not cry, he said, his voice steady. Poison does not tremble when the world hates it. Poison does not fight to survive every day. He placed the cloth gently in her hands. You are not poison. You are fire still burning. Her tears fell harder now. She clutched the cloth, her heart aching with a strange new warmth she did not understand. Her world had always been cold, always empty, and yet this human had stepped into it without fear. She looked at him through the blur of her tears, her voice barely a whisper. Why are you different? He met her gaze and answered with calm certainty. Because I do not see with their eyes. I see with my own. The alien woman's breath shuddered. She could not speak. For the first time in her life, she did not feel like an outcast. She felt like someone who mattered, even if only to one human. And in that dark shelter, as the city whispered with cruelty outside, something fragile and dangerous begat. And to grow between them, not just kindness, but the beginning of trust, shared hunger, shared hope. The morning sun rose over the alien city, casting long shadows across the broken walls and empty streets where the outcast woman had spent her night. She had barely slept, her mind restless, every word from the human echoing in her chest like a quiet fire that refused to go out. When she opened her eyes, he was still there, sitting near the doorway of the shelter, alert as if guarding her from the world outside. She stared at him in silence, wondering why he had not left during the night, why he still remained when it would have been so easy to walk away. The human noticed her stirring and offered her the food from the day before. She hesitated, her hands trembling. Why do you keep helping me? She asked softly, her voice filled with disbelief. He simply shrugged, his eyes calm. Because you are hungry. Her chest tightened, a wave of shame and gratitude washing over her. No one had ever said such simple words to her without cruelty behind them. She took the food slowly, eating small bites, every chew heavy with emotion. And when she finally looked at him again, tears shimmered in her eyes. The human ate as well, sharing his own supplies without hesitation. It was the first time in her life she had eaten beside another without being shoved away or insulted. The act was so ordinary for most, yet for her it felt like a miracle. Silence stretched between them, not heavy but calm, the kind of silence that made her chest ache with something unfamiliar. She dared to ask, Do you not fear what they say about me? Her voice was small, but the question carried all her pain. The human tilted his head, studying her. "I hear them," he admitted. "But their voices do not decide what I see." His gaze was steady. "I see someone strong enough to survive all their hatred." Her breath cawed out, "Git." She wanted to believe him, but years of rejection chained her heart. Still, part of her began to wonder if he truly meant it. If maybe one person in the galaxy could see her as more than a curse. The moment was broken by footsteps outside. Rough voices carried into the shelter. Alien males had gathered nearby, their tones sharp with anger. "The human is still with her," one growled. "Does he not know she carries death?" Another sneered. "Perhaps he wants to share her curse." Fear seized her heart. She looked at the human, her eyes wide. "You must go. If they find you here, they will hurt you," she whispered urgently, but he did not move. Instead, he stood and walked toward the doorway, his back straight. The alien males appeared, 3 of them, larger and stronger than her, their faces twisted with contempt. "Human," one spat. "Step away from the cursed one. This is not your fight," another barked. "Do not shame yourself by standing beside her. Leave now, or regret it." The woman's body shook, her chest heavy with dread. She had seen this before. Others had tried to defend her once, only to abandon her when the threats grew too loud. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Please, just go." Her heart already bracing for the pain of watching him turn away, but the human did not move, his eyes cold as steel. "If you believe she is cursed, then curse me too," he said, his voice calm but loud enough for them all to hear. The alien males snarled in disbelief. One stepped closer, his hand reaching for the weapon on his belt. "Do not test us, human. She is nothing." The word echoed like venom, but the human's jaw tightened, and he took a step forward, shielding her with his body. For the first time in her life, she saw someone stand before her like a wall, unshaken, unafraid, and her breath caught in her throat. The aliens laughed bitterly. "You are a fool. No male of our kind would ever choose her," they jeered. "She will bring your downfall." But the human only answered, his voice firm, "Then let her downfall be mine, for I will not abandon her." The market outside grew restless, whispers spreading as more eyes turned toward the scene, crowds gathering in the distance, waiting to see what the human would do. The alien woman's heart pounded, torn between fear and awe. She wanted to scream at him to stop, to save himself, but her voice refused to leave her throat. She could only watch as he stood against 3 males twice his size, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon, ready but calm. The air grew tense, a fight one breath away from breaking out. But before violence could erupt, one of the alien males spat on the ground and turned. "He is not worth the blood," he growled. "Let him suffer the curse in his own time." The others muttered in agreement, though their eyes burned with hatred. Slowly, they walked away, their voices carrying threats of what would come later. The human did not move until they disappeared into the crowd. Only then did he turn back to her, his face still calm, though his eyes carried fire. The alien woman stared at him, her body trembling. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you fight for me?" He looked at her for a long moment, then said simply, "Because you deserve someone who will not walk away." Her chest ached, tears spilled down her cheeks. For the first time in her life, she felt the chains of her curse weaken, even if only for a moment. And in that fragile silence, as the human stood beside her, she began to wonder if hope was no longer a lie. The stand. The market was alive again the next day, brighter than before, voices rising with gossip that carried across every stall and corner. The story had spread beyond the alleys, beyond the whispers. Everyone now knew of the human who had stood beside the cursed alien woman. When she stepped into the market with him walking close behind, the noise shifted. Merchants paused in their shouting. Customers turned their heads. Silence broke for just a heartbeat before the laughter and insults began again, louder, sharper, like knives thrown into the air. "There she is, the curse," one alien male spat. "And the fool who claims her," another added, their words harsh, their eyes filled with scorn. The woman's heart sank. She had lived this torment every day. but never with someone beside her. Now the hatred burned twice as strong because it was aimed at him too. She whispered under her breath, "Please, leave me. You do not deserve this." But the human did not answer, his stride steady, his eyes unshaken, each step of his boots striking against the stone floor as if to declare he would not turn away. They reached the stall, the same merchant who had denied her before, his lips curled in disgust. "I told you she is unclean, human," he barked. "Take your credits elsewhere." His voice was sharp, meant to humiliate. The crowd leaned closer, eager to see what the strange human would do. The woman lowered her head, her shoulders heavy with shame. This was the moment, she thought. This was when he would finally realize it was not worth it. He would walk away like all the rest. But the human's voice cut through the noise like steel, calm yet powerful. "I will not take my credits elsewhere," he said, his gaze fixed on the merchant. "You will serve her as you serve any other, or you will admit to all that your trade is worthless." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The merchant's face darkened. "Do you threaten me, human?" he hissed, but the human did not blink. "No," he said. "I speak truth." His tone was steady. "A merchant who refuses trade based on hate has nothing to sell worth having." The crowd stirred, some murmuring in agreement, others laughing in disbelief. The alien woman clutched her basket tighter, her hands trembling. Never in her life had anyone spoken for her like this. The merchant slammed his hand on the counter. "She brings ruin. Every male knows it. She will curse you. She will destroy you." His words dripped wit, each venom. But the human stepped closer, his shadow falling over the stall, his voice lowering, sharp and clear. "Then let her destroy me, for I would rather fall by her side than stand with cowards." The market froze, the words hanging in the air like thunder. The woman's chest heaved, her breath catching. She could not believe what she had heard. Her heart screamed to tell him to stop, that he did not understand the weight of his defiance, but she could not speak. Tears blurred her vision. The alien males who had threatened him before pushed through the crowd, their eyes burning with fury. One shouted, "You disgrace yourself, human. You challenge our law." Another growled, "She is not worth a drop of your blood." Their hands reached for their weapons. The tension cracked like lightning in the air. The human did not draw his weapon, not yet. Instead he stood tall, his voice carrying through the silence. "You call her worthless because you fear what you do not understand. You call her cursed because you cannot bear to see strength in someone you rejected." He pointed toward the alien woman, his hand steady. "But I see her. I see someone who has suffered and still stands, and I will not let your hatred define her." The crowd erupted, voices colliding. Some shouted in rage, others fell quiet, stunned by his words. The alien woman stood frozen, her heart pounding, every breath a storm. The alien males stepped closer, their threats boiling, but before blades could be drawn, the human finally moved, his hand sliding to his weapon's hilt, his eyes sharp. "I do not want blood," he warned, "but I will not step back." The alien woman gasped, clutching her basket to her chest. She had seen fights before, brutal and merciless. She had seen males die for far less. The thought of him bleeding because of her was unbearable. She whispered, her voice trembling, "Please, no." But the man did not break his gaze. The alien males hesitated, their hands still on their weapons, the market holding its breath. The tension stretched until it threatened to snap. Then one of the older merchants stepped forward, his voice rough but loud. "Enough," he barked. "We came here to trade, not to bleed in the dirt." His words cracked through the air, breaking the spell. The alien males cursed under their breath but lowered their hands, their fury burning, but contained for now. The human remained steady, his grip loosening but his stance unbroken. He turned back to her, his expression softening when he saw the tears in her eyes. "I will not walk away," he said quietly, words only for her. Her knees weakened, her chest filled with a storm of fear, awe, and something she had not dared to feel in years, hope. And as the market slowly returned to its noise, one truth settled deep inside her. This human was not like the rest. He was willing to stand. Even when the whole galaxy demanded he kneel, The secret revealed. The night was heavy after the storm in the market. The alien woman and the human had taken shelter in the ruins outside the city. A broken building long abandoned, only shadows and the whisper of wind kept them company. She sat close to the fire he had built, its light flickering across her tired face. For hours she had stayed silent, her hands gripping her knees, her eyes watching the flames. He did not press her, he simply sat near, sharpening his blade slowly, his calm presence filling the emptiness. Finally she spoke, her voice trembling. "You should not be near me," she whispered. "You saw how they look at me, how they speak of me. They are not lying, they believe it for a reason." Her words fell heavy in the still air. The human lifted his eyes from the blade, his gaze steady. "Then tell me the reason," he said quietly. Her chest tightened. She shook her head. "If I tell you, you will leave," she muttered, her throat burning. "Everyone leaves." He set the blade aside, leaning closer, his voice low but firm. "I am still here. Am I not?" Her breath caught. She wanted to believe him, but fear clawed at her heart. Her hands shook as she pressed them against her face. "I was born under a dark sign," she whispered. "My people believe it marks me with death. They say any male who claims me will lose his life. No union with me survives. No bloodline continues. I am the end." Tears spilled down her cheeks, her voice cracking. "When I was young, they tried to test it. One male promised to care for me. Within days he was gone, a sickness no healer could cure. They said it was my curse. Another tried years later. He vanished on a hunt, never found again. And so they said it was true. Any who choose me are doomed." Her words broke into sobs. The human listened in silence, his jaw tight, the firelight dancing in his eyes. When she finally looked up at him through her tears, she saw no fear there, no disgust, only thoughtfulness. "You see now," she cried. "I am poison. I am not worth saving. I am not worth choosing. If you stay near me, you will die too." For a long moment the human said nothing. The only sound was the crackling fire. Then at last he spoke, his voice steady, unshaken. "Then let me share your fate." Her heart stopped. She stared at him in disbelief, her lips trembling. "What did you say?" she whispered. He met her gaze without flinching. "If the choice is to live in cowardice without you, or to risk death by your side, I choose you." His words rang like iron, unbreakable. Her tears fell harder. She shook her head. "No, you do not understand. It is not a story. It is real. They all died." She sobbed, her voice raw. The human leaned forward, his eyes burning. "I understand more than you think. I have seen death. I have fought battles where life could be taken in a breath, yet no curse stopped me then. Why should it stop me now?" She pressed her hands against her chest, her heart racing wildly. No one had ever spoken to her like this. No one had ever chosen her, knowing the risk. All her life she had been told she was an ending, a shadow, a mistake. And now this human sat before her, declaring she was worth defying the stars. Outside the ruins, the wind howled, carrying faint voices. Other aliens were searching, their hatred growing with every whisper of his defiance. But inside the fire's glow, the woman's world narrowed to only him. Her voice broke again, soft as a breath. "Why me? Why choose me, when you could choose anyone else?" The human answered without hesitation. "Because anyone else is not you." The words shattered the chains around her heart. She wept openly, her body trembling. She wanted to push him away, to protect him from herself, yet she could not. The warmth in his eyes held her in place. For the first time she felt something dangerous, something she had buried deep inside her soul. She felt hope. The ruins shook faintly as footsteps approached, voices of alien males echoing in the distance. "They are here," she whispered, panic rising. But the human only stood, gripping his blade, his shoulders firm. "They can bring their curses, their threats, their hatred," he said, his voice sharp as steel. "But they cannot take away my choice." She watched him, her heart torn between terror and awe, and in that moment she realized, even if death came for him, he would not regret standing by her, and that truth was more powerful than a nigh curse her people feared. Against the galaxy, the city did not sleep. Rumors spread faster than the wind. Every alley whispered of the human who had chosen the cursed one. Every tavern echoed with laughter, with anger, with disbelief. No alien male could accept it, and so they gathered, voices rising until even the council itself demanded action. By dawn, a tribunal was called, a gathering of the oldest males, their robes heavy with authority, their faces marked with contempt, the square filled with crowds. Merchants closed their stalls, children clung to their mothers. All came to witness the moment when the human would finally bow to their judgment. The alien woman stood in the shadows of the square, her body trembling. She could barely breathe, her heart heavy with terror. She had begged him not to come, begged him to run while he still could, but he stood in the open, tall and steady, his eyes fixed on the council as if nothing could move him. The head of the tribunal raised his voice, sharp as a blade. Human, you stand accused of defying our law. You chose the outcast, the cursed one, the shame of our kind. You dare to claim what no male would touch. The crowd jeered, their voices hateful, their eyes burning with cruel delight. The alien woman's knees weakened, her chest squeezed with pain. She whispered to herself, "He will leave. He must leave. No one could stand against them." But her words were drowned by the roar of the crowd. The human's voice cut through the noise, calm but powerful. "I do not recognize your law when it is built on lies." Gasps rippled across the square. The council members stiffened. The head of the tribunal slammed his staff against the stone. "Lies!" he hissed. "You dare call our truth lies?" His voice shook with fury. The human did not waver. "I have seen with my own eyes she suffers not because of a curse, but because you all chose fear over compassion. You made her an outcast to hide your weakness." His words rang clear. The crowd stirred, some shouted in rage, others fell silent, uncertain. The alien woman pressed her hands to her mouth, tears filling her eyes. No one had ever spoken like this in front of the council. No one had ever dared. The head of the tribunal sneered. "You are blinded, human, blinded by pity. You do not know what you risk. Any who claim her are doomed. Death follows her shadow. Do you wish to join the grave?" The human's answer was steady, unbroken. "If death is the price for standing beside her, then I accept it." The square erupted. Some screamed in fury, others whispered in awe. The alien woman could not move. Her heart thundered in her chest. His words struck her like fire, burning away the chains of shame that had bound her for so long. The council demanded silence, their voices harsh. "You defy us. You spit on our law. Then hear this. If you choose her, you are no friend of our kind. You will be cast out, hunted, your blood spilled in the dirt." The crowd cheered at the threat, eager for the spectacle of the human's downfall, but he did not flinch. He turned his head just enough to look at her in the shadows, his eyes soft for only a moment. Then he faced them again, his voice strong. "So be it." The alien woman staggered back, her tears falling. She could not understand him, why he would risk everything, why he would face a galaxy's hatred for her. Yet she knew in that moment he truly meant it. The council roared, their staffs striking the stone, declaring him an enemy of their kind. Voices rose in unison, the entire square shaking with hatred. But within that storm the human stood still, unbroken, unafraid. The alien males pushed forward, some demanding his arrest, others calling for his blood. But the human raised his voice once more, sharp as thunder. "You may take my life, but you will never take my choice. I choose her." The words silenced the square for a heartbeat, the weight of his defiance hanging heavy in the air. Even the council faltered, their eyes narrowing, their authority shaken by the fire in his tone. The alien woman's heart ached. Every breath a storm, she whispered to herself, "He is mad, he is brave, he is mine." Her soul torn between terror and hope. The tribunal ended with rage, with threats, with orders to prepare punishment. But as the crowd dispersed, whispers spread like cracks in stone, some voices no longer mocking, some voices filled with doubt. "Perhaps he is right," they murmured. "Perhaps she is not cursed." The human returned to her side, his face calm despite the storm he had unleashed. She fell to her knees before him, her voice breaking. "Why do you do this? Why risk everything?" He lifted her chin gently, his eyes steady. "Because no one deserves to be alone in a world that hates them, and because I see you." Her tears fell freely, her chest heavy with emotions she could not name, and as the stars rose above the city, she realized the galaxy itself was shifting because one human had dared to stand against it, a love that changed everything. The city square still echoed with the shouts of the tribunal, but in the quiet alleys and hidden corners, whispers began to take root. Some called the human a fool, others called him brave. Yet for the first time in memory, not every voice carried hatred for the cursed alien woman. She sat in the ruins that night, her body shaking, her tears falling. She had seen the whole world rise against him, and yet he had not turned away. She whispered into the darkness, Why would he choose me? Why would anyone?" Her heart broke and healed up too. At the same time, the human sat beside her, silent, sharpening his blade by the dim light of the fire. At last he spoke, his voice low and steady. "Because choice is mine, not theirs." Her throat tightened. She turned to face him, her eyes shimmering. "They will hunt you now. You will lose everything. You cannot return to the markets, to the city, even to the stars beyond," she cried. "All for me." The human's expression softened. He set the blade aside. "I have not lost everything," he said, his gaze steady on her. "I found you." Her breath caught, her chest burning. She had no answer, only tears that fell freely as she pressed her hands over her face. At dawn, the city erupted again. The council's decree echoed across every wall. The human is no longer welcome. Any who aid him will share his fate. The cursed one remains a blight upon our people. The words thundered, yet beneath the noise, something else stirred. Alien females whispered quietly among themselves, voices soft but growing. "If he can stand for her, why can we not?" they asked. "Perhaps the curse is a lie." Their words spread like cracks in stone, small but unstoppable. By midday, a crowd gathered outside the ruins, not to mock, but to see. Alien males demanded his surrender, their weapons ready, the air thick with threat. But before the clash could break, voices rose from behind, alien females stepping forward, their eyes defiant. "No more," they said. "We will not see her suffer alone." The square fell silent, shock rippling through the crowd. Never before had the women of their kind spoken against the law. Never before had they stood beside the cursed one. But now, emboldened by the human's defiance, they did. The human stepped into the open, the alien woman trembling behind him. The council stood high above, fury in their eyes. "You dare corrupt our kind with your weakness," they roared. "You dare spread rebellion." The human raised his voice, calm but powerful. "It is not weakness to care. It is not rebellion to choose compassion over cruelty. If you fear her, then you fear your one lies, but I do not. I choose her, and I will not kneel." The crowd stirred, shouts rose on both sides. Some called for his blood, others fell into silence, unsure. The alien woman felt her knees weaken, her chest heavy. She whispered, "They will kill you." But the human only answered, "Then let them try." The council gave the order. Alien males surged forward, weapons raised. The human drew his blade, standing firm, his stance unshaken. The alien woman cried out, her voice breaking, "Stop, please!" And then, in that moment, something changed. The women in the crowd stepped between the males and the human, their bodies forming a shield, their voices rising. "No more blood, no more lies," they cried. "She is not cursed. She is one of us." The males hesitated, stunned, their authority shaken. Never had they faced such defiance from their own. Never had their law cracked under the weight of truth. The human lowered his blade but did not step back, his voice steady. You see, it is not just me who chooses her. It is them, your own people. Your law cannot bind what hearts refuse to obey. The council raged, their voices furious, but their power weakened as the crowd shifted, as whispers turned to shouts, as more and more voices demanded change. The alien woman fell to her knees, overwhelmed, her tears streaming. She had lived her whole life in shadows, cast aside, rejected, cursed, and now, because one human had stood, the chains began to break. The human bent beside her, lifting her gently, his voice soft for only her. You are not alone anymore. She clutched his arm, her voice shaking. I do not deserve this. He met her gaze, his eyes unwavering. You deserve everything. The square roared as the council tried to silence the crowd, but it was too late. The lie had cracked, the curse had shattered, and all because one human refused to turn away. That night, as stars filled the sky, the alien woman rested her head against the human's chest, her tears soaking his shirt, but for once they were not tears of shame. They were tears of hope. She whispered into the quiet, You changed everything. He held her close, his voice steady. No, we did, together. And as the galaxy watched, whispers carried across the stars, a story spreading far beyond one city, beyond one world, the story of an outcast no one wanted, and the human who chose her, a story that proved love could defy fear, and one choice could change the galaxy forever. The end. Enjoyed the story? Like it and subscribe for more.